5 questions you should ask when you're planning a native planting project. I'm Adam from Restore Native, and today we're going to cover off the 5 biggest things that I think you should consider before you embark on a native planting project. How do you want your project to look in the long term? Now that's a really important question, because what we're going to plant today or this season, it's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to keep growing, and those trees are going to attract their other tree mates, and it's going to develop. So look, if blocking views is a thing, or you want to create cover, or you want to create shelter, or you want to look at what the outcomes are that you're trying to achieve by planting, and you want to consider those possible downsides that can come. A classic one is, hey, we've got a bit of a wet area, we'll chuck some flaxes in. Oh, they've grown through the fence. Oh no, we've got a shorting fence now. And it's just about considering, what species you're putting in, how that's going to look in the long term, what you want to get out of it. Start there. Look at those things. Obviously, when we come on site, we talk to you about that, and we can help plan around those, get the right species, get the right approach. We can exclude planting areas. We can put different species into different parts of it, so it's giving you the look you want. But it's a really important thing to consider. What do you want to get out of it? And we're here to help you get the best result. What plants do you love? Now, that's a really important one. I've got some people who have been mowing their lawns and the old cabbage tree leaves have come in and they've got caught up, and now they hate cabbage trees because they blocked up their lawnmower, even though they're planting them at the back of their farm and it's not really a problem, but they don't like cabbage trees. So whatever it is, you think of what you love, what you don't love, because you're spending a lot of money on this project. You're going to create something lasting and potentially epic and beautiful. So you can create it in your own vision. There's no single way, there's no single type of native forest, there's no single right mix to put in. It really comes down to, hey, environmental factors. What's going to work where you are? What's going to fit your budget? But what do you love? So, hey, Adam, I love kahikateas, and I just want to see beautiful kahikateas. And that's actually all I really want. And we go, great, the best way to establish this is this mix here. We put these kahikateas through there. Would you, how does that look in the long term? So if you love it, you can get it in. Hey, it's not always simple. If you go, hey, Adam, I love Remu and I want a really big one, like the one on your shirt, get me one of those. It's like, oh, have you got 800 years? We can probably grow you one of these, but we need to work on how we establish it. But important to drive it from, what do you love? It's your money you're spending, it's your land. Let's get you a great outcome. What's your budget and how do you get the most out of it? Now that's really important, because if budget is no option, you can establish a really flash looking forest really quickly. Get some huge trees and just go and put them in with a digger. It'd be epic. But it's not always that simple. So we've got to consider, what size of tree are we putting in? What density of those trees are putting in? A really big one is, what other funding is available? Will the council help me out here? Are there other funders that can help me out? And if you don't have enough budget to achieve the whole area you'd like to plant this year, hey, maybe break it down and put it into small areas so you can do it well and not have a sparse, weed-infested, poor survival rate bit of forest. You can actually have a smaller, really great bit of native forest, and then you can build on it year after year. So look, think about your budget, think about how you can best use it. We're here to help. At Restore Native, we're not escalating prices forever and a day. We try and keep things well priced, but we're sensible about the options across a range of different sizes, a range of different spacings, and we'll make sure that whatever we end up delivering for you on your site is suitable to achieve your goals within your budget. And if your budget doesn't meet your goals, we'll either shrink your goals or make the budget fit. But it's important to consider how you get the best for your money, rather than just throwing some money at something and hoping that it works out. What is the best planting mix for your land? Now, that's a really important one. You might say, hey, I want a heap of swamp flax and I love those carex grasses, but if you're on a big dry hillside, those plants don't actually live there naturally, and they're probably not going to thrive. So the area that you're looking to plant, you've really got to consider the balance of plants that are going to thrive there and how you're going to create a beautiful native forest result for the area you've got. So that's what we do when we come to site and we help to plan projects, or, we'll have people send us photos and we go, oh, great, you want to plant your wet species through here, this will be the mix, and you can get it to look like this. And over this side here, you want these different ones, and they'll grow well. And then eventually, things like long-lived trees, when you've got things like, say, kahikatea, for example, Remu, stuff like that, they like to grow with a little bit of shelter and cover when they start out, but eventually they get up and they grow forever, they grow big and tall. But it's about laying those plants out in a way on your site that is going to achieve the very best results. So you've got to respond to the natural landscape. We can't just overpower Mother Nature. She's a pretty strong force. We've got to work with it, These native forests have been growing for thousands of years, and we are just here to help that along the way by working with nature to achieve the best result for your piece of dirt. What do you need to do before and after planting? Now, this is a really important thing to consider, because if you don't get your prep right and you don't get your maintenance right, you can waste a whole lot of money on a native planting project. Happens often. We'll arrive to a property and someone will go, yep, Adam, I want to plant that area over there. And we'll look at it and it's covered in gorse and blackberry. And we go, oh, look, it's pretty hard. We're not sort of bulletproof. We don't wear chain metal to get in amongst the scratchy things to plant. But also, you want to control those weeds before you plant. There's no point arriving in the middle of winter and chucking a bit of chemical at some blackberry and hoping for the best. Spring, summer, autumn, the best times to control, brush weeds like that. So you want to do that bit of planning beforehand. You want to tidy up the site, because otherwise, once those trees go in, your options and your ability to actually control those weeds is much more limited than it is when it's an open space and pasture and you can just blow a bit of brush killer at it, because otherwise it might kill your trees once those trees are in. So prep well, identify what your site needs, and that includes, does it need a good graze, so it's not long grass, you can get good establishment, does it need weeds controlled, if it's a pond, do you get a digger in there to give it a bit of a clean out, because once it's got the bush around it's going to be a bit harder. All these factors are going to be important things to consider. And then there's the what about after planting. It's not just chuck it in the ground and she'll be right. Every site has its own challenges. Generally we recommend a spring release. So what that is us basically coming in the springtime, we spray a spot when we plant, that's dead, but in the spring it grows back. We come in the springtime, push that grass away, spray around that plant, lay that grass over as a bit of mulch, and then you've basically suppressed the grass, the tree's growing, and it's not getting overwhelmed. So, because what can happen if that grass in the spring overwhelms a plant, drops it into the grass, it loses the light, and then it's buggered. Your investment's just gone up in smoke by getting covered by grass. So a bit of maintenance is key. For a lot of natives, after they get through that first year, they're actually pretty well off. They're going to survive most of the time. Depending on the spacing between trees, we're obviously rushing to this point where we get canopy cover, trees touching. So you think, hey, if we've planted quite wide spacings, maybe we need to get in there and do some weed control in between, because other weeds will come up in time. But it's all about what's right for your site, what's the prep that's required, what's required after, and if you get those right, along with obviously the plant in the middle, you're going to have a bloody awesome native forest in time.